Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. It's great to see you all. I hope everyone is doing well. And let me just bring this up here. All right, there I am. Hello. So please say hi if you're watching. We're coming on a little bit later tonight than usual because I had to go take care of some girl things at the doctor. And that's all I'm going to say. So if you're here and you want to say hello, I would love to know who's out there. I know there's a few people coming on. So please, please, please let me know that you're here. All right. Hello, Lisa Cohen. My darling, how are you? How is everything going in your love life? I have to take off my sweater because it is hot, hot, hot. I don't know what I was thinking when I put this thing on. All right, everybody. So, hey, Bunny, I think we're going to get to talk soon. I just saw you on the calendar, so I'm really excited about that. Um, my assistant didn't make a banner for tonight. She didn't make a banner for tonight's talk. So uh, I'm just going to let her know. I just wanted to let her know because she was writing me. All right, everybody. So tonight we are going to take one of the topics that you all submitted to me. So I want to put this out there to everybody. Please, please, please. These talks are for you. This is my Q&A, and I do this every Tuesday at That's amazing, Lisa. Well, we're going to have to catch up. I want to hear more. So I do these talks every Tuesday night, and these are for you. So if you have a topic that you really want me to explore, please go to Lisa. Just write to me. I'm sorry, write to me. It would be lisa@lisashield.com. And send me an email and let me know a topic that you would like me to discuss on a Facebook Live. And I will spend, 45 minutes, half an hour talking about that on a Facebook Live. So please send me some ideas. Don't be shy. One other thing that I want to announce, I am so excited about this. And I hope everybody else will be too. Um, on Sunday, at what time are we doing this? At 10 a.m. Mountain Time, we are going to do a new Facebook Live. And this Facebook Live is with my husband, Benjamin. So, Benjamin and I, please check this out because it's going to be really, really exciting. Benjamin and I are going to be doing a new Facebook Live every Sunday until we can't do them anymore. But he and I are writing a book. He's helping me write my book. And what I realized is while we've been writing this book, we have been coming up with some of the most rich and beautiful information. And some of the things, my husband truly has a beautiful mind. He is he is this perfect combination of a heartfelt masculine man who really knows how to express his emotions, how to verbalize his deepest thoughts and feelings. And so I think it would be noon East Coast, Lisa. But if you enjoyed the interviews with Benjamin and me, and I know a lot of women do, uh, I highly recommend that you all come on and listen because it's been extraordinary. It really has. I've been sitting and listening to some of the things that Benjamin has been saying, and it's been jaw dropping for me to hear his insights. So please tune in. It's on Sunday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, and we will be. Hi, Kaylee, sweetheart. How are you? Yeah, it's really going to be beautiful. So, and some of the things, I don't, not even in my course, in the naked dating course or in SSW. Thanks, Sharon. Not even in the SSW course or in END do you hear some of the things that Benjamin and I are going to be talking about. So you got a therapy puppy. That's so sweet. Yeah, Lisa, tune in with Eddie. You'll love it. I've been writing my book with Benjamin, and we've been sitting and talking, and just some of the things that come out are amazing, amazing and I've been thinking, gosh, I wish people could listen in on some of this stuff. I wish they could hear these conversations. And I asked Benjamin if he'd do this with me. And we're also going to be turning all of this into a podcast. So that's also part of it. We're going to take the Facebook Lives, and then we're going to use the audio, and we're going to make podcasts as well. So it should be really exciting. So tonight's yes, Rebecca. Hi, sweetheart. Rebecca, I got your email, and I adore you. I love you. And I cannot wait to see you. And Sam, we're so excited. The interviews there will be a replay. You can watch the Facebook Live, Rebecca. Or if you want, you can just subscribe. We're going to be creating a podcast. So you can also just listen to them. Many of you are driving to work, and you don't want to listen to the news or the radio. A lot of people listen to podcasts now on their drive to work. And so we're going to make this into a podcast, which is one of the reasons why we're doing this, is so that we can also take these conversations and turn them into our new podcast. So I think it's going to be so exciting. I'm excited about it because I know how amazing these conversations have been between the two of us. And I just want all of you to be able to hear some of this information, because it's coming from the mind and out of the mouth of one of the most wonderful men. And he truly is an exemplary guy in terms of, that man that we're looking for. And so when you hear Benjamin say certain things, like, you hear him talk about what it's like for a man, a good, kind, conscious, loving man, to be out in the dating world, what they're up against, what it's like to go through a divorce for a man. We don't hear these things from a man's perspective all the time, right? We don't get to hear a good man talk about what his divorce was like and how he felt, and how emasculating it was for him to go through that experience, to have a woman that he really wanted to make happy and couldn't please, and how awful it was to be locked and feel trapped in a marriage where he wasn't feeling loved and cherished and respected. And no matter what he did, it wasn't good enough. And so you'll hear all of these things from his perspective. We're going to dig in, and you're going to hear a lot of this, and some just brilliant Benjamin insights, that I think very, just because he's so insightful. So it's going to be great. Please tune into that. And once again, it will be on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. So that would be 9 Pacific. That would be 11 Central and noon Eastern Time. All right. So today we are going to talk about money, 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 and how that affects relationships, how it impacts dating. I want to know your questions. Anybody who has questions. Um, oh, you listened to Benjamin today, Benjamin on YouTube. Yeah, well, Bonnie, we're going to be doing a lot more of it, because I really do think that this is going to be deeply inspiring to everybody. So I've been freezing every few minutes. I wonder what's going on with that. All right, I'm going to have to look into that, Lisa. I don't know what's up with the feed. I have a new camera, so maybe that's what's causing it to freeze. Um, I'll have to look into why it's doing that, but let me know if it keeps happening. Uh, yeah, I'm going to have to figure this out. I'm still getting some technical stuff dialed in here. So it's briefly freezing. Well, it's a different camera. Yeah, Judy, it's phenomenal. It really is. Thanks, Lisa. You are my biggest fan. um, but it really is amazing to hear all of this from the mind of a beautiful man. I mean, I can't even tell you. Just tune in. That's all I can say. Just tune in because um yeah, there's just magic that happens when Benjamin and I start talking about love and relationships and dating and partnership. You know, it really, really is quite extraordinary. Um, and you're honest too. I know you are. So let's talk about money. How about that? Everybody up for a little conversation about money and relationships and all. Um, so money. Well, first, let's talk about it in terms of dating. It's a tough one today because so many women are out earning their partners. And that's just the way it is. There's a trade off. We can't have it both ways. If we want to be able to be business owners and work and earn, great livings and have fabulous careers, the truth is that many of us are going to be making more money than our partners are. I think 33% of women today who are 35 and younger are out earning their partners, 33%. And that may even be higher now. Those statistics are from a few years ago. So that's really what's happening. Many women out earn their partners. And that's just how it is. So if I were a young person, and I think, that we have to look at this in two different ways. We have to look at it in terms of, more mature people, different time, we grew up in a different era, different time. So we have to look at um, people my age, probably 40s, 50s, 60s, a little bit different. And then people 40s and younger, different group. So in my generation, we were one of the first generations where women's lib happened. And so we were in the process of, you should be that lucky. That's very funny, Lisa. But the truth is that in our generation, men were out earning us. And so they courted us. They paid for everything. Many women chose to be stay-at-home moms. And that's was a completely different day and time. Now, lots and lots of women are making great livings, and many men feel that women should be contributing as well. And so things have shifted. Might not like it. Some women still want to hold on to those old values and feel like they still should be supported fully by their husbands. And I have to say, it's one thing when you're in the courting phase. So, when Benjamin and I dated, he paid for everything pretty much. I mean, if we went out and I might pick up the tab for drinks, or if we went to the movies, I might have paid for the tickets or something. But mostly Benjamin was old fashioned and he paid for everything. And he feels very strongly that a man should do that, especially when you're courting a woman. It's setting the whole, a tone and a precedent for a relationship. He paid, I think, even, um, I don't know, it was never really an issue for us. We never sat down and I never felt like he wasn't generous or that I was counting pennies or dollars with him. So I don't even remember when we traveled who paid for what, if he paid or I bought my ticket or whatever. But mostly Benjamin was very generous and I felt his generosity. And if anything, I just wanted to do things here and there for him so that he would know that I was not taking advantage and that I didn't expect it. But that's pretty much how it was in our courting and our dating. And men do this because it makes women feel taken care of, like they're really going to cherish and adore and care for a woman. The thing is, you don't ever want it to come across as if you expect it. So, something that I was very careful to do was that I was always thanking him for his kindness, for his generosity constantly. And I actually had a really wonderful experience last night. Benjamin and I went to dinner with a couple. They were friends of friends. Somehow they're thinking of moving to Santa Fe. And I think a former client of Benjamin's asked if we would be willing to talk to them, to meet them, because we just moved to Santa Fe. And this couple was darling, just adorable. I couldn't say enough nice things about them. And it was so cute at the end of the dinner. Both of the guys took out their credit cards, and her husband said, "Should we split this?" And she looked at her husband, whose name was also Benjamin, by the way, and she said, "Thank you, Benjamin." And then she looked at my Benjamin and she said, "Thank you, Benjamin." And normally I would thank Benjamin, I would thank my husband. If we were walking out to the car, whatever, I would say, "Thank you for a wonderful dinner." But it was so cute to see this woman thanking her husband in the same way that I would. I just thought that that was beautiful. And we're married, both of us have careers, and she contributes. I think she actually is really the big breadwinner. He's an architect, but he may do very well. But I think she's the real business brains in that relationship. She's always looking for how to make money. And so it was really cute to see them together. I'm going to digress off the money topic for a minute because I wanted to talk about this couple. One of the things that was truly, truly wonderful to observe about them is that she was much more of the masculine presence in that relationship. He even said, she's the business brain in this couple, and although he's very creative, very, very creative. He's an architect and he's a Reiki master. They live in New York City, on Wall Street, and they, very successful couple. Both of them are presidents of nonprofits. So the really cool couple. But what was wonderful to see was they had a bit of a different dynamic than Benjamin and I have, because Benjamin is definitely the masculine energy in our relationship, and she was much more of the masculine presence. And he was a little, artistic and creative. He was a big guy, but so it was very cool to see the two of them interacting. And he would be talking. He's an aficionado of all kinds of things, like antiques and all kinds of interesting things he buys on eBay. And they were talking about some of the things that fascinate him. And she kept looking at me and she just kept saying, "He is so amazing. I love this man." It was really cute. Like, it was so cute to see another couple that really had a different sort of alchemy, a different balance between the masculine and the feminine, but who were so alike in many ways to Benjamin and me. So she just kept saying, "Oh my God, he's amazing. He's so fabulous. I'm in awe of this man." And this is what I teach my women. This is what we do in my emotionally naked dating course, is really learn how to love and validate and appreciate your man like that. And it was just so genuine from her. So back to income. Um, you just can't. It's one thing to allow, to receive the gifts that a man is going to offer you and to be gracious when he does. But the one thing you want to be very careful of is not being entitled or coming across as entitled. And a lot of women, um, have a certain kind of entitlement. Well, I expect this and he should do that. And a real man is like this. And I'm not saying don't have standards. That's okay. But expectations, being entitled and feeling put out if somebody doesn't do something a certain way isn't okay. It's just not okay. So it's okay to want a man who's going to court you and to want the romance of that. But it's really how you hold it, it's how you approach it in your heart and how gracious you are. Um, and if even if it is what you want, that when a man does do those things for you, that you're just very appreciative and not expecting, if that makes sense. Should a man pay for dinner? Um, it's lovely when he does. Let me put it that way. It's lovely when a man does. And I think for many years, I dated men who didn't do those things for me. My ex, I supported men. And what I found for myself was it wasn't sexy. It just wasn't sexy in a relationship for me to be the one who was really pulling the financial load in the relationship. It never worked for me. And it didn't work because I lost respect for the men that I was with. I just lost respect for them. Judy said, do men feel emasculated if you pay or are more masculine at times? Judy, it's a balance. You have to just look at look at what works for you. Now, here's the difference with Elizabeth, the woman last night, and her Benjamin. It worked for them because she really was enamored with this man. To me, he was lovely, but I prefer Benjamin's, a little more rugged, masculine vibe. But it didn't bother her at all. Like she adored who this man was. And she was crazy about him. And she wasn't trying to change him. She didn't think, he was too feminine or any of those things. She loved who that guy was. And so it worked for them. That balance, he was able to be a little bit more flamboyant and passionate about, and she was able to be the businesswoman and whatever, and that worked for them. So you have to decide the dynamic that feels sexy to you in a relationship and sit back and say, what kind of man do I want to attract and what works for me? And then you have to be okay with that. Like if you are more masculine and you're okay with that, you are probably going to attract a man who is less masculine because that will balance the two of you out. Does that make sense? And partly in a relationship, what makes a relationship super sexy and really hot is the friction between the masculine and the feminine energies. Like that's hot, when you have a masculine force and a feminine force. And those two energies are like really rubbing up against each other. That those opposing forces are hot. If both people are too close to the center, you get more like a brother sister or a friendship relationship. So it's that pulling, that like those two forces really working against each other that make a relationship sexy. Um, Lisa said, it makes sense, Lisa. My guy has been treating me to dinner each time we get together for the past month. Last night, he asked if I would like to go out or eat in, and I said that I would love to go out to dinner. I felt disappointed when he mentioned eating in. I did not say anything about it. Um, Lisa, sometimes men also just don't, they may want to just relax and stay in. And I know, a lot of times Benjamin, especially when he was working, he would say to me, um, he would say to me, at the end of the day, hey, let's go to dinner. And I would just look in his eyes and I'd see how tired he was. And then I'd say, you know what? Why don't we just stay in? And he would look at me he'd be so grateful. So I don't know. Or maybe, sometimes um, it gets expensive to keep going out. I mean, I don't know what he does for a living, but a nice dinner out is going to be at least $100. And that's not a small amount of money if you're doing that regularly with a partner. So, it might also be nice for you to offer to cook for him some nights. It might be fun to say, hey, why don't we just go to the store and we'll cook together? So I don't know all the conditions of that, honey, but um, so I think if men make sufficiently more money, they can pay most of the time, but you still need to treat them once in a while. Lunch is usually, I agree, Clissy. I agree. I think that that's so beautiful. Well, your dinner was $30. I don't know, Lisa. He may also have been tired. For me, um, I love Benjamin, and I'm always, I'm way more concerned about his happiness and well-being. And, I want to know if he's tired or if he wants to stay in. I just want to be with him. It doesn't matter where we are or what we're doing. Yeah, it'll be nice for you to cook for him. I think that'll be really nice. All right. Any other questions about this, about, how to handle these things? I think as a woman, one of the mistakes I used to make, and this is true confessions, I had such low self-esteem that it didn't take a lot for me to feel obligated to men. And I often felt if a man took me to dinner, um, if a man took me to dinner or did nice things for me, I felt almost obligated to sleep with him. I wanted to give him something back. I wanted there to be an exchange. And so a lot of times that was how I reciprocated. And as I got older and I started to question my own behavior and my relationships with men, I had a very real look at that. And I decided that that was no longer going to be my approach. And so I thought, if a man buys me dinner, then he has the pleasure of my company, and my company is valuable. My time is valuable. And as long as I'm gracious and kind and a good listener, that's enough. If a man is willing to take me to dinner, then I can be a wonderful date. I can be kind, I can be gracious and all. So, that was really lovely. Um, yeah, so just know as you date for a while, there will come a point where yeah, thanks, Judy. I was hoping somebody would validate me with that. Thank you, thank you, thank you for stepping in there. I really appreciate that. But that's true. I just didn't know. And I wanted to connect with men. And that was how I connected. So um, as things go on in a relationship, so as you really go further into a relationship, there comes a point, especially if you move in together, but there does come a point where you get past courting and you're a couple. And once you get into being a couple, it's really important to start, to have a conversation about money and expectations and all. And if you're really going to be a great couple, it's important, if you love this man that you're with, that you talk about these things, that you discuss them, and that you don't just have hidden expectations and then you get upset or angry or you're withholding. Yes, we do. Thank you, Judy. We know our worth. Yes, we do. So There you really want to start to open up and have these more emotionally naked conversations about your salaries and about money and about your views on money. Different people have different backgrounds, different histories, different upbringings, and different views of of the value of money and how they want to spend their money, how they want to save their money, what's important for them to spend their money on. Some people want to spend money on having a beautiful home and building uh, a certain lifestyle, and other people want to spend money on travel. Other people really want to save and invest. And it's very, very important to have these conversations with somebody that you see a future with. I highly recommend it. I think it's a huge mistake not to dialogue about these kinds of things. And especially, if you're concerned about it, if you're thinking or worrying about, well, how much money does he have? Or does he think, what about, do I make enough? Am I going to have enough to contribute? So you really do want to talk to um, your partner. And I would say somewhere, as you go forward, as you get into 8, 9 months into a relationship, and if you're really considering yourself as a couple, you want to start to talk about this stuff and really see if you're on the same page, if you have the same values, if you want the same things. Um, Nancy said, hi, Nancy. Hello, hello. Thank you for helping me understand why I was turned off when a guy said maybe this time I can pay for dinner. He paid for the first 2 meals we had, which was lovely. I'm totally fine with paying, but it wasn't sexy. I like showing my gratitude for cooking by cooking a meal for a man. Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. But there does come, Nancy, a point after you've been seeing someone for a while where it is really important to talk about these things. And um yes, Bonnie, have the kind of conversations you would have if you were married. Exactly. Exactly. But do this before you're married. Do this before you're married so that you don't get into a relationship with somebody and you've got completely different ideas about money and you're at loggerheads, right? You don't want to do that. That would be a total drag. Um, I have a client who um she is adorable, and I have to say, like, this woman, I she still is so, like, takes up this huge place in my heart. Her name was Leslie, and I coached her um for quite a while, and she wound up marrying the most wonderful man. They have 2 beautiful boys, and just the cutest thing in the world. But she asked me, about money and all. And when she first came in to see me, she's Asian, and her family, I don't, I think she grew up here, but her family was from like Korea or something. And she didn't dress that great. Her, not for dating. She was cute, but a lot of her clothes were too conservative and all. And when she came in for um, a session, I said, maybe you want to go to anthropology and just have the salesperson there help you put some outfits together just to get an idea of some fun feminine things that you might want to wear on your dates. And she said she walked out from that session and she was like, who is she to tell me what to wear? And then she got over that. And she said she got past that. And she said, okay, I'm paying this woman to help me. So I'm going to listen to her. So she went to anthropology and she got some clothes. Anyway, her husband's name was Sony. And before they got married, she talked to me and she said, Lisa, I want to know how to talk to Sony about money and how we're going to handle that. And I said to her, I think it's Susie or Suze Ormond says, I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce that, but she talks about how couples should handle their money. And she said there should be a joint account, and then each person in the couple should have their own separate account. And so I asked, later she said, I don't know how much later, but later she said, Lisa, we did exactly what you said. We have our joint account. And then she said, Sony has his money, his account, and then I have my anthropology money. So that was really cute. She was adorable. And she said that works really, really well. Now, in my relationship, I'm going to share something that may sound um, almost inconceivable to a lot of you. If anybody had told me this before I was married to Benjamin, I would have said no chance in hell that this would happen. My ex-husband was a pathological liar, and he would borrow money from people and then not pay them back. And he wound up stealing money from me as well. So I didn't have a good history with money in relationships, but I trust Benjamin with every cell in my being. And when we got married, I didn't want anything to separate us. When my first husband and I got divorced, um, I went to the lawyer and she drew up the papers and she said, okay, well, what is your personal, what combined communal property do you have? And I said, we don't have any. And she said, not even a joint credit card. And I said, not even a joint credit card. That's how little I trusted my husband when it came to money. And when we divorced, he owed me a lot of money, which I never got back. And so, what I'm about to say is radical even for me. When Benjamin and I got married, we wanted nothing to separate us. Now, we don't have kids, we don't have children from former marriages, none of that. Benjamin and I, we really have each other. And so, we wanted nothing to separate us, nothing. Everything that we own, we have in both of our names, everything. So, money I inherited from my family, money he inherited from his mother and father, everything that we have belongs to both of us. Our names are on every bank account, every car title, on the deed to, the mortgage to our house, everything. And we did this. I was 40, I was in my early 40s, and Benjamin was in his early 50s. So very, very unusual for a couple our age, but we have no children. And there is no his and mine. There's just ours. No prenuptial agreement, nothing. We really are everything that we have, everything that we own, everything that is part of this relationship belongs to both of us. So we co-created everything together. Karen says there's a difference between obligation and desire to enjoy doing a dinner together. Beautifully said, Karen. Beautifully said. After 4 dates, a man asked when I was going to cook dinner for him. I suggested we do it as an activity together and go to the market, etc. He didn't want to. Instead, he expected a woman to cook after being taken out. See, that's beautiful example of the flip side of what I'm saying. He said he doesn't know how to cook and has a maid cook once a week. It just seems like it was an expectation rather than togetherness. Oh, I think that's so what you wrote there is so beautiful, Karen. And did you talk to him about that? Did you share, how you felt that that the idea was to do something together and share an activity? I mean, even if you bought the food, even if you paid for the groceries, the idea was that you two would share an activity together. But it sounds like he had expectations, and I just think it's a shame to bring expectations like that into a relationship. Um, Barbara said, I went on a road trip with a guy I was dating who wouldn't stop to get food because he wasn't hungry. If I was hungry, I had to state it, and I felt like I then had to pay for it. He didn't offer either. This happened multiple times. We both made decent salaries. Needless to say, I felt that he had money issues. This was one of the reasons I broke up with him. There was a lot of drama. What are other ways to find out if a guy is tight initially? I so agree that money can become an issue. Sometimes I pay for dinners and other things because I don't like to feel obligated to the guy. I think that that's really true, that we pay because we don't wanna feel obligated. Brilliant. And, Barbara, people, it's not even just money, it's generosity of spirit. And you have to just sit back and observe somebody. You really have to just pay attention. And with a guy like that, if something like that happened to me, as hard as it is, I would have taken that as an opportunity to talk to him about it and to say, and you do this in a very non-confrontational way. And one of the great things about having these kinds of conversations is that you want to really get good at being able to ask for what you want and need in a relationship. And you want to learn how to express yourself without being needy or angry or demanding or critical or judgmental. So the question is, how can you, have a conversation about a situation like this and just be curious and not make assumptions, right? So, how could you say to him, that was awkward, or these are my I wanted to share my feelings with you about what happened in the car. I really like you, right? I really, really like you. I enjoy our time together. I'm enjoying getting to know you. And I want to, please help me understand. Please help me understand, when we were driving the other day and, I know you weren't hungry, but I was. Did I not ask you in the right way? Did you not understand that I was hungry? Did I need to be clearer? You know, and I also am curious just how do we handle, or how do you like to handle things like who's going to pay for dinner or who buys lunch? Or I'm just curious what your thoughts are around that. And so you don't say, I was hurt when you didn't pay for my lunch and it was very upsetting. And, I want a guy who's going to treat me. You say to him, I'm just curious, how do you want to handle those kinds of things? Or, you know, if I ask you to stop for lunch, do you feel that I should then buy my own lunch? And just talk about it and then go, oh, okay. All right. That makes sense. And if you don't like it and you sit with it, you put it in a file. And if stuff like that keeps happening and you just keep going, God, this guy's cheap and, he's not very generous and I'm not liking that vibe, then you just say, this isn't working for me. Emma says this is a great, a great topic. My husband and I did it that way and it worked out great. That's very cool. Very cool, Lisa. Um, Shruti says we have been very transparent with one another about salaries, debt, etc. But how do you ask in a neutral way about how divorce settlements affect his total take home pay? I feel awkward about bringing it up. So Shruti, if you are going to be together, honey, you've got to talk about that stuff and be able to have that nakedness. And so I would say, look, um, there's a question that I have for you, and um, it's never easy to talk about money. But I was curious. I know that that you're divorced, that you have a child, and I'm just curious how that affects you financially. That's all. And then you sit back and you let him tell you or not tell you. He has to decide if he wants to be transparent about it. When I met Benjamin, who is not your average guy, but he sat down on our, what was it, our fifth date, and he told me, and he told me exactly how much money he makes and that he had a bankruptcy because of his divorce. It was deeply, deeply embarrassing for him, and it was something he took extremely seriously. And he made sure that he did everything that he could possibly do. He had perfect credit except for that bankruptcy, because when he got divorced, he just couldn't possibly pay the alimony payments and make the kind of money that he was making. He was in a horrible situation. Emma says, I'm seeing a man who is between jobs, but he has enough money to support himself. But I'm finding myself supplying food for him regularly, and I'm starting to not feel happy about it. You got to talk to him about it, Emma. You've got to talk to him about it. You know, one of the things that has happened in my relationship with Benjamin is that both with the pandemic and he has gotten ill a couple of times, and I have had to pick up the financial weight in this relationship. Now, I know that we're married, but even if we hadn't been, I would have done this for him. He's my partner, and that's what partners do. So, the tables will turn, and don't be short sighted. If this is a man that you really think you may be spending your life with and you really care about him, the tables may turn. You may not have a job, and he may be buying food for you and picking up the slack for you. So it's very important not to be narrow minded or short sighted. If this is someone you genuinely care about, and the situation is temporary, then you want to definitely, sit back and really give it some thought. Like, if this is a way that you can show this man how much you love him right now, Emma, you may seriously want to, just be generous and loving, as long as everything else looks good and he's looking for work, and, he's not just freeloading, or if it's, pandemic related. But if he's had a good solid career and whatever, there will be times where we'll all be between jobs, or have financial ups and downs. Um, yep, men love having women cook for them. Natalie says, I'm a good cook and end up the head chef. Well, I'll tell you the funniest thing. I cooked for a long time. I mean, I not, off and on, I've cooked a lot for Benjamin, and I had no idea that this man was a phenomenal cook. And then during the pandemic, with my practice and stuff, he's looking for ways, because he couldn't work. Now he's now back to work. He couldn't, it was killing him that he couldn't work, but he's now back at work. And this is what's so great. He has been cooking up a storm for me, and this man can cook, really cook. So I lucked out, right? I may be pulling my weight with the business end of things, but man, this guy is just doing everything for me. Everything. He's been phenomenal. He's just looking for ways to do things for me. Um, Oh, Emma, yeah. If you really love him, honey, just be generous. Don't begrudge him. Things will change. Shruti says, thanks. I just have to pluck up my courage and practice having this conversation. Fortunately, there are no kids involved. Yeah, it should be straightforward, Shruti. It shouldn't be challenging. Just ask him. Just say, hey, babe, this is a tough conversation to have. I'm just wondering, and if you do it with love and caring, because if he's paying alimony, it hurts. Like, I'm sure it's tough to pay for anybody, male or female, to pay alimony. And so, if you're compassionate and loving, and you just say, hey, look, I'm so sorry, and I have so much compassion for you, and just, and also ask him how many more years of alimony he has. Yeah. Nancy says, should I have said anything when this guy um was planning our third date and suggested I could pay? I said I'd be happy to. In fact, I would have offered when the bill came, but it felt so awkward and not romantic. Nancy, I would really ask yourself, did you like him on the first 2 dates? Like, were you into him, were you kinda into him and before that came up? And, you may again, just use it as practice and just say, and just use it as an opportunity, things like this to really say something and just say, "Hey, I'm curious. I'm just curious that you would bring this up before we go to dinner. I've never had a guy actually say to me, will you pay for dinner or suggest to me that, and I just wanted to ask you about why, about that and just leave it open. I just was curious about that. I've never actually had a man ask me to pay for dinner before. And I would say, I'm not a gold digger and I'm actually quite generous, but I was curious about that because have you had women take advantage of you in the past? Do you feel like I might be taking advantage of you? I'm just curious what would prompt a guy to do that. So, yeah, I mean, if you can stay neutral, if you can stay neutral and just be curious and just be like, I'm so curious. Like, no guy's ever asked me to just come right out and said, would you buy me dinner next time? That's kind of an unusual thing. I'm curious, I'm just curious about that. And just like that. And then see what he says. And could it be a little awkward? Yeah, I mean, yes, but if we don't learn how to navigate those kinds of conversations, that's how we get good at this stuff. Yes, bravo, Benjamin. I agree, Natalie. I may walk in there right now and he could have dinner on the table. You never know. I have to say, for many years, I wouldn't let him cook or clean. I really felt that um, I wouldn't let him cook or clean. He worked so hard and, I would do everything just because I didn't want him to be, I didn't see my vision of him as a man was not in the kitchen cooking and cleaning for me. But, circumstances have changed and he, feels like that's part of how he's able to contribute. So it's been really sweet. It's been really sweet of him to do that. Um, yeah. Nancy, if you do, I don't know, maybe you just decided not to see him again, but try it. Just, you have nothing to lose. Um, yeah, you can just say, "Hey, I wanted to ask you a question. I'm just so curious why you felt you needed to ask me to pay for dinner. Have you had women who take advantage of you? Do you feel like I might be doing that? I'm just curious. I've just never had a man do that before." And I would say to him, "It really caught me off guard." And see what happens. You never know. Um, all right. Shruti said, my guy shows love by cooking for me as well. I'm happily his sous chef. Benjamin won't even let me be his sous chef, Shruti. It's like all or nothing. Like if he's going to do it, it's like you go watch TV. I am not, get out of the kitchen. I've got this. He won't even let me carry the plates from the table to the kitchen or do the dishes. I mean, he's been doing everything, which is remarkable. I'm not quite, it's a challenge actually for me to sit back and receive all of that. It really is. And he's been so sweet and generous, but I actually have to sit back and, sometimes I just have to take a deep breath and be like, okay, this is what he wants to do. And I'm just going to listen and I'm going to take a step back and, and not do it. And I know when Benjamin says something, it's like, that's his truth and I don't question it. So yeah, he does treat me like a queen. He really does. I don't expect it, but he's incredibly generous. Any other questions? We have a few more minutes about money, about um, you know, and Barbara, everybody would love relationship like this, but I think it really comes out of the love that Benjamin and I have for each other. We just love each other. We really love each other, and we listen to each other, and we respect each other. And so in that beautiful container that we create together, we're able to create this kind of love where we just show up for one another. Um, you did the same thing, Sharon. You had to step away. Yeah, it's crazy. It's hard sometimes, and you had to let him cook. Wow. Wow. It's so, it's lovely, but it's sometimes we don't realize. I think women don't realize sometimes how quick we are to push away love. And, the gentleman last night, we went out to dinner with a couple. I talked about that earlier. And um I don't remember. I was coughing or something, and he jumped up and said, "Let me get you some water." And and I said, "No, no, I'm okay. They're bringing me something." And I should have just said, "Wow, thank you. You're my hero." And I didn't. I missed that opportunity. So, yeah, I just want to share with everybody again, um, and I mess up too, Sharon. I got to take a deep breath, and sometimes I miss it. But I wanted to share with everybody that on Sundays, if you just tuned in, on Sundays, uh, starting this coming Sunday from 10 a.m. Mountain Time, Benjamin and I are doing Benjamin and I are doing a new Facebook Live. It will be turned into a podcast, but we will be doing a Facebook Live. So, for any of you who have heard any interviews with Benjamin and me, this is the inspiration behind this, because uh, we've been working on my book, and with some rich, beautiful material has come forward. And so please, um, please tune in, because it's going to be amazing, amazing. It'll be an hour-long Facebook Live. So please come join us. And there we go. Come on, post this. There we go. So please tune in Sundays at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Shruti said, "What is a practical way to set up financials and normalize talking about finances regularly? Um, should it be a weekly, monthly conversation like a Monday night?" It depends if you really feel that you need to do that. Shruti, Benjamin and I don't. We don't really feel that it's important for us to do that regularly. But if you do, and that's something that you really want to talk about, and you can set that up. You can talk to each other and see what works for both of you. And and if it's beneficial to to the relationship, and he doesn't feel like he has to be put on the spot, or it doesn't feel like a chore. But if you are building, when you start building a future together, it may be um you know, it may be that you talk to him about it and just say, "Hey," but you really have to be a couple, and you want to be in a situation where you're building a financial future together, as a couple. So I don't know if you want to do this weekly, probably monthly, right? But are you two a couple, and are you building towards a future together? Or is it just, still individual finances? I know one of my couples just moved in together. And of course, they would now be talking about this regularly, because this is important for them. They would be having conversations about money, but they're living together. And so they will be sharing expenses and all of those things. Bonnie says, if a guy asks you out, If you make chili, that's a hint. I would think so, Bonnie. I would think so. I think he's asking you to make him chili, which is sweet. He's letting you know what he likes, just like men want us to let them know what we like. Tasha says, "Hi, Lisa. When you and Benjamin started dating, did you have expectations about what the money will be like, money and all?" Um, so, um, no, I had my career, he had his career, and we sat down on our fifth date, and Benjamin told me what he made, and I talked to him about my financial situation. So, both of us had money and we had good solid good financial situations, and so I think that we talked about wanting everything to be combined and wanting to share everything, not having anything separate. We really wanted to just put everything together and as one and not have a separate anything, so that's what we did. Yeah. All right, everybody. This was a great topic. Please do me a favor. If you think of anything that you want me to talk about, I am more than happy to do that on these Facebook Lives. Just, write to Lisa at lisashield.com, and I will gladly, gladly, spend an hour on a topic that you choose. So write me an email and just say, "Hey, Lisa, I would love it if you would do a Facebook Live on sex or on ghosting or on whatever it is that when to have a certain conversation, any of those things, just let me know and I will make it happen." All right. And also, just a reminder, go to lisashield.com and watch my free 45-minute presentation. And if you like what you hear, we can jump on a call and I'll tell you more about the work I do. I really want you all to get this. You are spending time, which is your most valuable commodity, trying to figure this out on your own. You are wasting hours and weeks and days and months and years of your life sitting on Facebook Lives and trying to collect information, reading books, and following other love coaches, when what you really need is a step by step plan for getting this solved. And that's the truth. There is a way out of this. I show people how to solve this in 12 weeks. I can give you an absolute proven plan. Ask Lisa Cohen. She will tell you it works. She worked with 5 other coaches before she worked with me. So please, the one thing we don't have is time to waste. Nice to see you too, Shruti. Take care. And please don't waste time. Just get a solution, get help, find a way out of this. You're going to waste years of your love life trying to figure this out on your own. All right. Love to everybody. I will see you hopefully on Sunday. And if not, I'll see you next week at the same time. Please, if you enjoyed this, give me some thumbs up or some hearts or whatever. It feeds my ego. It tells me that I'm doing well on these Facebook Lives, and I'll see you soon. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.